Hi guys, my name's Taurai Horton. I work for National Grid as a SHE executive, and as part of the Finding Your Future campaign, I'm partnering with DFN Foundation and NSEF to tell you what I do for a living, but also to give some motivational tips and advice on staying on your pathway to employment. Now, I mentioned my role, the SHE executive, but what does that actually mean? What do I do for the role? Now, my role focuses on three main areas: health, safety, and environment. Now, with those three areas, my area of work is within the gas industry, and my role and my department's role is to make sure that the gas meters and the pipework associated with those gas meters that you see, whether it be in your own homes, whether it be in the offices, factories, are fit for purpose, and that they tick off all the boxes in regards to health, safety, and environment. Now, me in particular, what I tend to do is I provide support and guidance to the people I work with installing the meters, and also the people that I work further out in different companies, making sure that they follow the right pieces of legislation and guidance to ensure that when they're installing or maintaining these gas meters or the pipework associated, that they're doing it in the right manner and they're following the right laws and the right rules. Now, as part of that, apart from providing support and guidance, there's other things I do. So, incident investigations, when something does go wrong, what I tend to do is I go out there and see, okay, if this goes wrong, what needs to be done and what can we do to prevent it from happening again? And there's also other elements. So data is a big aspect of my role. So when I do have incidents that come through, I tend to analyse, well, what are the trends? How many of these occurrences are happening? How many of these occurrences are happening? And what can I and my team do to ensure that those occurrences don't keep increasing? Now, what would I say is the hardest bit of my job? Well, you see, I work with a lot of different people, a lot of different organisations. And so what I'd say is my hardest job, or my hardest part of my job, is to make sure that I get what I need to get done, but also working and trying to manage in those relationships with my stakeholders to make sure that they can get what I need done and there's no issues or complications that stop it from happening. And it can be really challenging at times, but it's one of those skills which I'll talk about later on, where learning is very vital and it's very important to have those sort of transferable skills. How do you keep yourself going when things get tough? Well, for me, it's a variety of things. I feel like sometimes I need things to de-stress, whether it's just shutting down and going out for a walk, clearing my head, or whether it's going to the gym and weightlifting. I find it's a really good de-stressor. Other things that I've been able to do is when I've been presented with a challenge, I think back to the days where I used to believe that I couldn't do anything. And I think to myself about, look, you've come so far as an individual, you know you can do more. This is just one small step for you to just deal with, get over that hurdle, and then carry on. You know you can do it. It will take time, but it's challenging. You can do it. But how did I actually get into this job? Now, it's a funny situation because I came through this scheme that they were running called EmployAbility, Let's Work Together. Supported internship scheme targeted at people with special educational needs and disabilities. And what it involves is, over an academic year, you'd come in to the place of business, do 2 to 3 different work placements, and at the end of it, you have the potential for an interview or the potential for an actual job. Now, my background is around the age of 1, I was diagnosed with meningitis, and soon after I was diagnosed with autism. I had a lot of difficulties through my life, whether it was physically, mentally, or just socially interacting with people. In terms of academics, it was even worse, and I remember it wasn't until the age of 10 where I could write my name. Now, for me, I went through 2 special educational needs schools, and I suffered very heavily with my maths, my English, science. I was not very good at them. It got to the point where I was in year 11 in high school, and I was getting ready to do my GCSEs, my exams, did my exams, and I did poorly in them. So I was at a point in my life where I was getting ready to transition into college or going and finding a job. And the only options I really had were go to college and do a college course that I absolutely hate, or try and find a job. But with my grades, my qualifications, they were so horrendous, I would not have a very good chance of finding a job out there. So I was in a situation where I was looking at, okay, well, most likely my life is going to go down the route of living life on the sofa, on my mum's sofa, living life on benefits. And that's not really what I wanted for myself. And as I was growing up, the stereotypical view of people like me was that you wouldn't make anything of yourself. And so already I had low ambitions, low determination, low motivation for myself, because I didn't see myself going anywhere. I didn't see myself becoming anything worthy, or what I determined as worthy of existing. And so I got into this program because one of the head of my years came to me and said, Taurai, we've got this scheme going, great opportunities, want to be involved? And I was like, yeah, sure, go on. So I ended up going on this scheme, and I became one of the first EmployAbility interns in 2013. And I learned so much. I worked within the company's health, safety, environment team, and I also worked in the company's gas team. And there was so much I learned, so many new people that I met, made brilliant new friends. It was absolutely wonderful. Loved the place. Very daunting at first, and I was very shy and timid, but over time I got better and really came out of my shell. The way I got the job was, after that academic year, one of the managers spotted how hard I was working and saw that through my determination, through the possibility that I could actually do a role within the area, they offered me the job. And ever since then, I've been working and working and working as hard as I can to get to where I am now. And to be honest, if you'd look at my qualifications, you'd be able to tell that I would never have been able to get to where I am now based off my piece of paper, really. So what training did I actually get to do this role? So sadly, it wasn't all just do the internship, then into job. There's a lot of training that has to be done. My role involves telling people what is safe to do this and safe not to do that. And to be able to do that, you have to have a certain level of competence to be able to tell that person, look, if you are going to do this job, you need to do it this, this and this in regards to health, safety and environment. I want to make sure you get home in the way you came in. And that was the scenario I was living, because the things that I would do, the things that I would be saying to people, the things that I'd be producing to help and guide people would literally help them do their job and potentially save their life. So I had to really think about that in the back of my head as I was doing this. And so in order for me to become that professional, there was multiple different things and training I had to do. I had to go through my maths and English GCSE, redo that, and thankfully I got the grades I necessarily needed for both of those. And I also had to do the health and safety qualifications. So at the moment I have a NEBOSH General Certificate in Health and Safety, for those who are familiar with it. It's a level 3 in particular, A level for comparison, and that qualification is really just to show that you know what you know in regards to health and safety. I've worked in the industry for about 6-7 years now, and over that time I've been able to shadow a lot of professionals and been able to get a bunch of mentors to teach me in the ways of health, safety and environment. But going through that training and going through what I need to go through next, I'm looking at potentially doing my NEBOSH diploma, which is a level 6 degree. And to be honest, I'd never thought I'd get at that point. It's going to be difficult, trust me. But I need to do that in order to show my level of competence and to reassure myself that, look, this is the job I'm doing. I know I'm good at it. I know I can do it right. I need to do it this way. And for me to show that I can do it, this is one of the things that I need. So it's just another hurdle in life. Now, how many hours do I work in a typical week? Well, technically it's 37.5. I'd say I do an extra hour or two, depending on, extra hour or two a day, depending on how the week is. So it can, average-wise, 40. Easily 40, yeah. Have I made any friends at work? I'd say so, yeah. In my last role, there was one guy that I became friends with. I never really expected it to happen. And he was a good guy. I'm really good friends with him. And in the role before that, there was another guy I became friends with, and we just clicked instantly, and we've had a lot of funny times since then. I've met up with him outside of work, and yeah. But most of the people have generally been friendly, so I consider a lot of them my friends. What was my first ever job? Now, my first ever job was paperboy. So doing the paper rounds, going around and putting papers through people's doors. And then after that, I did some work at community centre. That's kind of like a bit of a receptionist type of role, but also in the kitchen area. And then after that was National Grid, really. Started off there. That's what I'd say the start of my career was, really, in this role, in health and safety. And it's a really good experience, and I learned a lot. And I think one of the main things that I can tell you for in the future is to have those transferable skills, because even though I worked in those different areas, I learned a lot of transferable skills. Funniest thing that's ever happened, I'd probably say it's my first ever Christmas do, to be honest. So when I started off in this role, my team had a Christmas do, and a lot of the people there I'd never really seen. Yeah, well, I say I've never really seen them in the way that they were. And the thing with Christmas parties is people tend to let loose a little bit and have fun. And so seeing my manager for the first time in a different way, enjoying himself, it was great. And some of the Secret Santa gifts that we got, there was one where you had this hat and you had to throw a ball around and different outfits, and it's really funny. Some of them were absolutely ridiculous. Some of them were just absolutely terrible, and some were really good. And it was a really good experience for me. I learned a lot and made a lot of friends. Now, what advice would I give for anyone wanting to go into this type of work? Well, I think for me, one thing is that you need to be open and ready to learn. In this sort of role, you're going to be learning a lot, and there's going to be a lot of new things. And as part of that, you need to be ready to be an open book and accept everything that comes to you. Take as many opportunities as you can, really. Another thing I think is you need to have the different skills necessary to do the job. So although there's a lot of textbook writing, health and safety knowledge, etc. that you need to have and need to be able to do, one of the aspects is working with people and really stakeholder management, building those relationships. That's a key skill that you can use to help you do the job that you need to. As for my job, what you have to do is work with a lot of people, talk with a lot of people, and so you need to work out how they work, how they click, and what you can do to make their lives better and make your life better. Another thing I would say is just be open and honest. If you don't know something, don't pretend like you know it. There are people there that can tell you or help you to find out what you need to find out. And there's also other ways to learn. With the internet nowadays, there's hundreds of different resources out there to tell you or teach you what you need to know. So being able to be open and honest and say, look, I may not know this, but I'll be able to find it, is again a really good skill, but it's also really good for you to tell people and to be honest so that they understand exactly where you are. And I guess the final piece from me really is just to believe in yourself. You're the one who's setting your limitations. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything. If you want to be an astronaut one day, you can be an astronaut one day as long as you put in the work and the time. If you want to be head of your own company, you can be the head of your own company. If you want to be a scientist, construction worker, or whatever you want to be, you can do that as long as you put the time and the effort in, and to believe that you can do that. And it will be long and it will be challenging, but as long as you believe, you can succeed. The sky's the limit. So if I can get to where I am, I'm nothing special. So I'm pretty sure you guys can get there too. To see other videos like this, go onto the NSEF YouTube channel, but also go onto Twitter and other pieces of social media and put in the hashtag finding your future to see other amazing videos like this from amazing people out there who have gone through their journey and have got to where they've got to now.